Yay! Hello. Welcome everyone to New Hampshire Talk Unplugged. Tonight we have Paige Beauchemin with us. Hi, Paige. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, well, it's been a day. I'm having a good time, I gotta say. What about you?
Good. Oh, it's been a week and a day. I
Yeah.
think being like a mom in these activism spaces and just with everything going on politically, it is a lot. So I'm really excited to talk to you tonight because you are kind of the expert in that area. Um, and I'm actually like really curious. So for those who don't know, Paige is a current rep for us, correct? And
Yes.
she is running for Congressional District 2, right? Or the second congressional district, excuse me,
Yeah.
in New Hampshire. And she is a mother. Um, and I'm just like so curious, like what first sparked your interest in politics? Like, was there a moment or experience that made you just say, like, I need to get involved?
People ask you that as a politician all the time, like, what activated you and what motivated you? And honestly, I think I came out of the womb this way. Like, I was chosen to do the kindergarten graduation speech even when I couldn't read. So I've always kind of been a leader. I come from a very humble beginning, and we had a lot of challenges. And there were times I was unhoused and, SNAP Section 8. My mom, we were on welfare my whole life.
Speech,
Even when I couldn't, and also trailer parks, things like that. And so a couple things there. First, I think I really, really learned that it's important to take care of people, and that there are people that have less there's always people that have less than you. And because I went through hard times, I that built my compassion and empathy to wanna help other people. But I'm the first person in my family to go to college, and I always, 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 always wanted to be in politics and be a leader. But I thought I had to have, I honestly thought I had to be an attorney or have, like, a master's in global policy or something. And this is so I actually had a 10-year plan, and my 10-year plan was, like, for, like, all the things in my life. But my political 10-year plan was, like, the books I was gonna read and the degrees I was gonna get and all these things I was gonna do so that I would qualify to be a real leader, you know? So I think all of my social justice work came out in my career. So I'm a nurse. I'm a maternal child health nurse. I actually started out, so I've always been an activist and an advocate. And I started out earlier in my life doing a lot of environmental work. I did a lot of environmental work with like adolescents and trail work. In fact, I did AmeriCorps in the North Country. I lived in Berlin for a year and worked in Randolph and Gorham. Yeah, so I've done a lot of like environmental trail stuff. And then I became a nurse. Bless you, or good
Thank
cough.
you. Sorry, excuse me.
And yeah, always wanted to do that. And oh, I just wanted to share, as a nurse, I've been working on Black maternal health and gender affirming care, for like 16 years. So that was how I did it. And I didn't think that I'd be able to. And the next story is I fell into it. I saw a friend and she had a legislative plate, and I was like, she was an acquaintance, and I was like, "What? How is Crystal a state rep?" I'm like, "She does payroll. She's a normal person." And so, of course, she had coffee with me, and she told me all about, which now people know, there's 400 people in the state legislature, and that actually, aside from the fact that we don't get paid, it's actually a lower barrier to get in because there's so many of us. So this is actually a good state to be able to get active. It's easier to get a position than it would be in other states. So I was like, stop telling me, because I'm like, I'm not doing this till my little guy is 10, because he was 4 at the time. And I'm like, stop talking to me. 2 months later, she texts me, "Hey, Paige, I have a really big favor to ask you." And so this was in 2023. What had happened was the person who was in my ward had to resign because of an illness. And so the House at the time was 199
2
Republicans and
months later, she texted
198 Dems. So it was so close. and I would have tied the House. Now, my ward is the lowest income ward in Nashua, and it's one of the highest Spanish speaking wards in the state. And so, what that means is it's very hard to get somebody from my ward who can actually serve as a state rep because of those demographics. And 2 weeks before that, I had just got an overnight job as a nurse. I was a repro health nurse during the overturning of Roe v. Wade. But the biggest thing was knowing that so many reps are wealthy. I really, really just could not let go of the idea that the people in my ward were going to be represented by somebody who didn't understand their lived experience. So that's what really put me over the edge. And talk to my family, talk to my husband, yay! And I hugged my husband, and I go, when we start this, it doesn't end, right? And he's like, "Oh, I know." So I know this is a long answer, but it really like there's not one thing. But what I'll say is I never intended to try to run for Congress this quickly. But what happened was after the election last year, I've just been so disheartened by our leaders and how much they don't stand up for us. And then when Maggie Goodlander, I don't know why I said her name that way. Um, when Maggie Goodlander voted for Lake and Riley, and then when she voted again to thank ICE, that's when I was like, "I'm doing it." Like, nobody is coming to save us. Nobody is coming to save us. I'm a fighter, I'm a nurse, I'm a mom, I've done all these things. I have just enough time in the legislature that I get it, but not so much that I have been indoctrinated, and so I decided to do it.
Yeah, and you say it perfectly. Nobody is coming to save us. That's great. Thank you so much, Paige.
Yeah.
I didn't know all of that about you. So you Something I really want to talk to you about is you are a member of the Progressive Caucus. Now, for our
Yeah.
listeners who might not know, what is that and what exactly do you guys do?
Yeah, so thank you so much. So you've heard of caucuses before. So it's really kind of confusing when you start because caucus is something you are, it's something you do, it's a big thing. So like we are part of the Dem caucus, and in the morning before we vote, we caucus, which means we get together. So it's a verb. Um and then there are things like there's the Latino caucus. I heard there's a divorced dads caucus. That is a whole other story for another day. Um yeah, you would probably like this. But anyway, the Progressive Caucus is probably one of I mean, I think on the Democratic side, it's the most active caucus aside from, the whole Dem caucus. And what we do is basically we stand for the progressive policies and we try to push more progressive policies. So we've got a board, and what we do as a board, I'm on the board. What we do is every week we choose what are the priority bills for us that we want to support as a caucus. So oftentimes they are in alignment with the regular Dem caucus, but a lot of times we are the ones who will like push something further. And so you have to vote with the caucus 90% of the time to stay in the caucus. There's all kinds of bylaws, but basically we support each other. We work with each other, and we're really the ones who are trying to push. I'll tell you what, if I gave you, there's no official list, but if I start telling you the names of people, you're going to see that they are the people that are putting in all the progressive legislation. So Ali Murray from Manchester is the chair. Heath Howard is the vice chair. Alice Wade is the whip. Carrie Sorensen, who had the big diaper bill today, is the financial person. Jody Newell from Keene, who isn't on here, but she does a shit ton across the state. And then me, I am the comms director. So other people on the caucus are Billy Butler, James Rosner, Lauren Selig, like these names, but I would say that the other really big thing is that we just support each other. Because especially with a lot of the folks who are in our caucus, we tend to be, and go figure, it's the trans folks, it's the Latinos, it's the marginalized people. We were sitting at lunch one day and we're like, Who here has done food service or a service job and not one of us kept our hand down?
Yep.
I had a really shitty day and everybody came up to me, "How are you doing?" And, you know, Alice had a shitty day yesterday if you guys saw her amazing testimony. So, like, I checked in on her we're there for each other, and I don't have any idea how we would get through it without each other. Um, but what we do also is we haven't had as much of a external platform, and what I am trying to have us do as our messages here is make sure that people know, yes, there are progressive people at the state house. Like, there are people who are putting these bills in and fighting for these things. Um Despite, the establishment Democratic Party overall, which they are in the majority, the establishment Dems, right? In terms of who's at the state house, it's mostly more moderate establishment Dems. But there are a lot. I think we have at least 40 people in the Progressive Caucus. So that's a lot of progressive people that care about these things.
Now I'm curious, are you able excuse me, oh my goodness, I'm losing my voice. Are you able to frame some of these progressive policies in a way that moderate or conservative reps are kind of like agreeing with and willing to listen to?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
so this is super interesting. What do they call it? Like, so there's a couple of terms, right? Like strange bedfellows, or like the horseshoe where you get start progressive and go so far around you come back, right? Like the overlap of all the like trad moms and the hipster people, like the medicine, the holistic stuff, like all of that. So I will say it's a little harder now because the Free Staters are getting so emboldened now that they're in charge, and they really don't care too much to really negotiate with anybody. We previously sometimes worked really well with the Libertarian Caucus. So before the Free Staters really overtook the Republican part of the party, the Libertarians were different and they were true libertarians, small government, autonomy, get out of my they would be pro-trans, they would be pro-choice, they don't care what people do. They're like, do whatever the fuck you want as long as you don't hurt somebody. So we used to be able to work with them. I will say that I really admire Jody Newell and Ali Murray. Ali Murray is a non-binary person who works with Joe Alexander. If you don't know who Joe Alexander is yet, he is a Republican. I think he's from Goffstown or where. And he is a gay man who is openly anti-trans. And Allie, a non-binary person, works with him to get housing stuff done because they are two of the people on the different caucuses that get shit done.
Yeah.
Jody Newell, with this whole big, like, let's fine unhoused people $1,000, that's happening in Keene as well. And Jody Newell is incredible at getting things passed in Republican majorities. So she's worked for a long time, like her whole life in homeless shelters. So what she did is she wrote a bill and I co-sponsor with her and so here's the thing. This is not a great bill. We wouldn't want this, but it's harm reduction. She wrote a bill that if the municipality decides to fine unhoused people for sleeping, around, that they have to have another form of redress other than monetary, which means they have to be able to volunteer or do something else so they don't get in debt and go to jail for debt. Now, do we like this bill? Hell no. Like, that still sucks. And people are doing volunteer work maybe. But is it better than them getting fined and fined and fined and going to jail and then having to do work in prison? That's where the harm reduction comes in. So I would say that the folks who have been here a few years on the Progressive Caucus, they're very, very good at negotiating.
That's awesome. That's actually really hopeful to hear. Um, and it shows a lot of integrity being able to work with people who just like don't even value your existence. Um, much better person than I am. now I'm
Sames.
curious. Now I'm really curious. I want to pivot a little bit because you're a mom and you are so heavily involved. What kind of barriers have you faced, some kind of disadvantages, some unseen things that moms face when in politics, when
Mhm.
in activism spaces
Yeah,
that you've
yeah. Sure. I mean, and I think the biggest one, of course, here in New Hampshire as a state rep is just that I have 3 kids and I am not rich. And so having to not I'm not retired, right? It's not just me. I can't work and take care of kids and do everything I'd want to do. So that was really, that's really hard. My kids are 13. I have a 13-year-old son, Gus, and my 11-year-old daughter is Ruth, and then my little guy who's 7 now, his name is Maurice, and we call him Mo. So Gus, Ruth, and Mo. And they're like a handful. And so here's what's happening. And I don't mind, you know, I want to be vulnerable and share. Like, I have felt like I'm failing at everything lately. And both my boys, we had to have teacher conferences because they're having some different needs. My daughter had some medical needs that I felt like, oh gosh, did I address this early enough and well enough? And I wasn't able to go testify at a lot of things this week because of that. The intentions I had were not great. Or sorry, the intentions I had didn't end up happening is what I meant. I had good intentions. And so I would say some of the other things. I mean, just the fact that in the state house, we did not know if we would be in the house next Wednesday in session until today. They tell you like, "Oh, you might be in session, you might not," and then they tell you a week in advance if you're going to or not. Well, you know, I have to get my kids on the bus. I have to get my son after school. So I'm having to plan who can come pick him up this week and can my brother come and get him and then bring him here and then this one has to go here. And so it's really like that coordination of the childcare that people don't think about. Um
Yeah.
a few years when I started, in 2024, there was a snowstorm and my kids' school, they all had a snow day. And I was really committed to going to committee that day. And so I packed all 3 of them up and I brought their tablets and their coloring stuff. And back then they were like 5, 9, and 11, and they sat in the back of the hearing room, and they just had to sit there for 6 hours, and they were phenomenal, but that sucked. I do have a little side story, which is that in case anybody didn't know, anybody is allowed to carry guns in the state house and on the floor. So they are allowed to carry guns on the floor, which is really, that really feels safe when they start yelling and getting upset. We all love that. Um, the day that my boys were there, um, a few hours later, they found in the men's room on the floor where we were a gun that somebody had just forgot when they went to the bathroom. Just
That's
a gun,
horrific.
just a fucking
Just
gun sitting there where my
oh my
boys were 5
god.
minutes earlier.
That's so irresponsible.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, this is not made for parents. It's not
No.
made for parents, and the problem with that also, I would say, and this is, like, a little different, but the frustration with my Democratic colleagues, or not even Deb, but, like, the frustration, honestly, I struggle with being ageist, but there are cultural differences in the different generations, and the fact is that the majority of the people in the house on either side do not know what it's like being a parent right now, and so things that are super important to me because I know they're important to us, I don't get the same support from my own party because they just don't believe me that it's important, like, they just, like, I look at some of the very few parents sometimes and we're like, "Why the hell did they just vote that down?" Like, that doesn't make sense. These are things we need. Especially I feel like things like different types of childcare or the paid leave or, things that their generation, they didn't have to deal with it. And they don't
Right.
really necessarily believe that it's as big of a deal. as we know it is. And so that's also frustrating wanting to represent my constituents and being up against that. Um but it is just the things like my kids are like, "Mommy, like, are you gonna go on your a meeting again? You're never here, mommy. Why are you on this? Like, why are you gone again tonight?" And it's like, you know, in reality, your kids are never gonna feel like you're around them enough. They always want you there. But when you know you're actually not there sometimes, it's hard to know, like, "Wait, is this a normal amount? Is it really hurting them? Like, how is this impacting them?"
Yeah, and that one is so hard. I deal with that with my son too, and just like battling with the, am I doing too much or is this healthy? And like, yeah, it's just like one of
I
those things,
mean,
which kind of leads me to, do you have any advice for like caregivers or parents who feel called to maybe get involved, maybe run for rep, maybe
yeah,
get involved with activism, some things that you've found really beneficial?
mhm. So, I think and this is partly for everybody, but I think it's especially important okay, wait, I have so many
No
things. Let me
biggie.
start from the beginning. The is that your I told my
Yeah.
7-year-old he could come no, I was like, "You can
This is
come
my
say hi."
6-year-old. He's trying to give us a balloon.
Yay! Thank you, 6-year-old, yeah. So the first thing is that as parents, especially if you're somebody who has done activism, or I mean, anybody, right? Right now, you're probably, excuse me, going to have higher expectations for yourself than what is actually realistic. And we have to remember that especially those of us who are parents, we are in oh god, my therapist called it like your homesteading phase or something like that. Like we're at the phase of our life where our the reality is what we have to spend the most of our time on is raising our family. And that is okay. You know, we might not be able to go out as much of as our friends that are younger without kids or our friends that are older with teenagers or kids out of the house. We have to remember that. But it also means that if we want to feel like we're making a difference, that we have to be very careful with our boundaries and very intentional about what we're doing. And so always say this to people, find the one or 2 things that you are most expert, passionate, or interested in, or moved by, right? 1 or 2. Find the groups that are already doing it. Please don't go out and try to build your own white savior solutions, okay? And go out, find the groups and work with them and focus on that. When I got started, I wanted to do everything. And I had to narrow in and say, okay, as a legislator, yes, I care about all these things. What am I most uniquely positioned to impact more than what most other people would be able to impact in that area? And for me, it was maternal health, mental health, vaccines. You know, I'm a nurse. I'm a maternal child health nurse. I do inclusive care. Those are the things I need to focus on. And I just had to start deleting. I don't read emails anymore. It's like if it's not that topic, as much as I can, I try to get it out. And so I think it's a part of knowing those skills but giving yourself the permission. This is okay. This is where I am. Um, yeah, and I think it's about being okay with that. It's really just about knowing that that is okay. And I also think though, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for the huge job of raising cool kids. This is my guy. Do you wanna
Hi.
say hi?
Hello.
Give you a hug, good night. You wanna say hi to people? Alright, this Melody. Can you say hi, Melody? That's oh, he likes kale. He likes the picture. Yeah,
It's a
right?
good picture. I love that. Mine is putting
Yeah.
the dog toy in frame.
I mean, this is and you know what, Melody? I think you and I and other parents, we could just keep talking through this. Like, there is no distraction. I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Bye. Love you. Good
It
night."
is just, like, part
I
of it.
Yeah. No, but I mean and you and I are raising boys, right?
Yes. Yep. I
Yeah.
have a six-year-old boy.
Um, yeah, and he's 7.
Yep.
It is so with the toxic masculinity and white privilege, it is such like, raising good kids is a huge revolutionary act. Huge. It has
It is.
long-term effects, and so I think that we need to remember that. Like, we are raising the next kids to be amazing, and that that in and of itself is enough, honestly. Hi, what you doing?
Alright.
What?
Super silly, babe. Alright. That was great. Thank you
Alright.
so much, Paige. So it's, we have, like, 2 minutes till 7:30. We're gonna open it up for some
Oh, good.
questions from our community. Now, I wanted to try something new this week.
Yeah.
Instead of me reading the questions, if anyone has anything to ask Paige, I'll pull you on as a speaker. You can ask her, get your answer, and then I'll kind of put you back into the audience and then grab the next person and we'll do it that way. If you don't feel comfortable coming on to speak, you can just say that you have a question like in the chat and that you don't want to come on and I'll just read it for you. And we have our first speaker. We have Marissa. So let's get her in.
I figured I would take the first hit. Okay, you can't see me. That's honestly perfect because I'm literally like hunched over a coffee table right now. But hello,
Oh,
friends. This is the
okay.
most wholesome thing. I love this. Um, and maybe this is a better question for after bedtime. But my question was,
We
what
have
was your
homework.
reaction? What kind of reactions did you get today from your speech on the floor? I know
Yeah,
you kind of had a
thank
busy day, and I'd
you.
be curious to hear how
Yeah.
people reacted to that.
Bless. Yeah, thank you. And you know, I actually this is so funny because I will take this bridge, which is that you said maybe this is better for after bedtime. But this is another thing, right? Talking to my kids about what's going on and talking to them about what's appropriate and why and when. So, for people who haven't seen, the quick story is last week during AOT's State of the State address, I got super, super, super upset, as most of us do. And I know lots of people were swearing at whatever screen they were watching. Hold on 1 minute. I really didn't mean to because I try to stay polite and classy. But I did flip off Kelly Ayotte during her State of the State address. And so, over last week, um, it my daughter saw the video and my son saw it and he shared it with his 13-year-old friends and they thought it was pretty cool. I love you too. And um sorry that I'm getting distracted. Okay, yeah. So what happened that day was that, of course, that happened. Somebody saw me, they went and got the picture, they sent it to Dem leadership, demanding that I apologize. I gave a half-ass apology because I'm not sorry. And then I made some videos about it. Well, it's apparently the video that pissed them off. They're watching my social media and they sent the video and said, because she apologized and made a mockery of it, we're going to give her an official reprimand. So before I even start, a reprimand literally means nothing. It means that somebody on the floor makes a motion like any other vote, like I move to pass this bill or whatever. It's I move to officially reprimand Representative Beauchemin because she made a mockery of whatever, and then they say why. And then I get to say whatever I want in response, and then the whole body votes, and it's voting on yes or no to reprimanding them. And the way it turned out is they did decide to reprimand me, and that's it. It means nothing. And so I think in earlier times, like when a politician actually like pre-Trump, when people were actually honorable as representatives, I think that would have been a really big embarrassment and it would have made a lot of noise publicly. But I think in these days, it just doesn't matter. But that's what the reprimand is. And so to the folks in the body, it's a big deal. So for people who don't know, what happened today is I used that opportunity and like I said, I try not to be vulgar and to like call people names and things like that. And hi boys. And so I sincerely apologize for that. I said, I make mistakes and I apologize for the vehicle I used. And then I talked about where that emotional rage came from. And I took the opportunity to condemn the leaders in this state. Ooh, awesome. What is it? Is that a city?
New
It's
York.
What's Oh
New
my
York
gosh!
City.
My son, that's his dream to go to New York City. That's his big plan, and he wants to live there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've already went to the
Wow.
Empire State Building.
He wants to go to the Statue of Liberty. Maybe
That's
we'll
what
go on a
I've
trip.
been planning to for the
Mm.
past year by now.
So many similarities.
Wow. Yes. So um so here's the deal. So and I would love people to go check out the video if you haven't seen it yet, because I feel like I said what I've been hearing from so many of you. Your anger about the warehouse and the shootings and the lying. I brought up what's his name? I was going to say a swear word, Corcoran, and how he literally said they're trying to demoralize us. And I was like, you guys are trying to demoralize us. So anyway, despite that speech, when the body voted, 100 of my Democratic colleagues voted to reprimand me. 100. 100.
I
And I
was
said this in
muted, but
the
I wanted
speech.
to say pathetic. Pathetic.
Yeah, yeah. And I really tried to drive in, like, when this is happening, being silent isn't manners, it's complicity. Like, why are we more worried about the civility of a gesture more than the cruelty of a policy, right? And that is the point that I made with some wordsmithing from Aria. And I did change some people's minds. I had a couple of Dems come up to me who were kind of moderate and say, I was going to vote for you to be reprimanded. And that speech was amazing. And I voted for you to not be reprimanded. I will say, when I was trying to figure out what I was going to say, and would I say anything, would I say nothing, would I be only fiery? I was actually having a tough day. I was emotional the other day, and I talked to my daughter about it, and she goes, Mom, whatever choice you make, I'm proud of you.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Right in the
being an
gut.
activist and a parent too, right? Like, she's in
Yes.
here, she
Yeah.
heard me saying that. So how do I feel? I was coursing with adrenaline. I didn't know when they were going to do it. So I was waiting all day of whether or not they were going to do it or when they were going to do it. And I don't know if people know the difference between a division vote and a roll call. So there's three kind of ways that you can vote. You can do a voice vote, which is everybody just says out loud aye or nay. You can do a division vote where they keep track of it, but only a roll call vote actually connects who voted in which way. So instead of it being aggregated, it's connected to the person who voted. I didn't ask for a roll call, and that would have told me who those people were. And I cannot believe that after all of this, I underestimated how much they wouldn't support me. Like, I thought it'd be a few Dems. I didn't think it'd be a big deal. And now I do wish I had roll called. So, Marissa, that's a long, long answer. I'm trying to get shorter.
Well, I feel very comfortable saying that we support you and are horrified by what has been happening at our state house. So I'm so
I
sorry
really
that you've had to
do.
deal with that, like
It's what really is worrying me is that they mentioned my social media, and it's like, can we just talk about how people behave on social media on the Republican side of the aisle?
they say the most insane stuff. Their Twitters should be like I don't know. I don't know how they walk free with some of the things they say. I don't know.
I
A
mean,
hand gesture, not bad compared to their Twitter accounts or X accounts, excuse me. Like,
yeah, so, I don't know, but I am I I really I don't think I think that there are a few moments I have felt so powerful on the floor. Because honestly, like, what were they thinking? They're like, "Oh, Paige is inappropriate. Let's put her in front of a microphone." What did they think I was gonna do? Like, I made them look awful. I guarantee you, I doubt that they'll put me in front of a microphone again because that was dumb of them to do that.
I hope they do. I hope they do. I hope they keep putting you in front of a microphone, and I hope you keep speaking.
Oh, I
We do
will.
have another question. This is from
Yeah.
Bridget, but she's with the littles, so she can't jump on, so I'm gonna read it. She said she would love to know what Paige's plans are to support New Hampshire moms from Congress.
Well, that is my favorite thing, Bridget, because of my background. So I don't know how much I talk about it, but so I specialize in prenatal education and the first year of life postpartum. So this is like my whole world. My specialty is actually perinatal mental health. So what I do is help educate people during pregnancy so that they have a better birth experience and that they're prepared postpartum. And then for most people are not prepared postpartum because we have a shitty system. Sorry, all the kids' ears. And so I do a lot of trying to improve things for moms and families postpartum as well. So I submitted this year I submitted a bill here in this state, and I think this would be one of my top priorities. My top priority, one of them is paid family medical leave. I really want to work on that. Some of the newer data out of the last year or two is showing the clinical data is that if we want to improve outcomes for moms and babies, and remember, we have the worst maternal health outcomes in like any industrialized country. If we want to improve them, paid leave has to be at least 6 months for paid leave to improve them. So that improves mom's physical health, mom's mental health, breastfeeding, and baby attachment. So paid family medical leave is a thing I'm really interested in from the clinical and it's clinical, it's economic, it's family oriented, it's healthcare. I also am huge on childcare. Like that's another very top priority. I am, especially again as a nurse, fighting for Medicare for all, which I think also for parents and families is a really important thing. So yeah, I think and then everything maternal health as well. I'm very active in what we're doing in New Hampshire already for maternal health. And in my own community, I have built a lot. I've worked on building some of our moms groups and improving like the community for parents here in Nashua. So I will take all of that to Congress and I can't wait. Oh, and if there's something else you want me to focus on, like, yeah, like tell me what you want me to focus on.
All right, up next we have Carter who has a question.
Turn that off really loud or go over there.
Fine.
Okay, does anybody remember John Travolta? What was the show he was in where he was like 17 and he was a student in the class? Because when she said Carter, I was like, Mr. Carter. Like, do you guys remember that, Mr. Carter? I can't hear you, Carter. Hey guys, you gotta leave. You gotta be quiet. What? Time out for
That's
1 second.
forcing me to do something.
Honey,
I
do you
kicked
s
mine out too.
do you
I think Carter's frozen. Maybe not. No, there we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh no, I still can't hear him either. Hold on. Hold on.
Public
User
owner.
volume. Oh, okay. We got it. We got it. Here, I'm gonna have Cindy go. You figure out what's going on, Carter, and I'll bring you back in, okay? All right. There we go.
All right, let's see if I can figure this one out. All right, mine's not gonna let me do video either, but you guys have my voice, right? Okay. Paige, I love you. I love the mom stuff. I think it's great. My question is related to that. I appreciate you fighting because I know I certainly struggled, and it's one of the reasons I don't want to be in New Hampshire, but I am stuck here. But I think about the demographics of our state, and we are an old state. So, from like a campaign strategy perspective, are there other issues that are on your radar that might not be in your regular wheelhouse that you are doing more to learn about to be able to advocate
Oh,
for?
And one of the biggest things, of course, is housing. So I come from the housing is healthcare perspective. I take care of a lot of unhoused folks. I work per diem at public health in Nashua. So I actually work mostly with undocumented and unhoused people. Um, I will say, just as a side note, another one of my big things is immigration because I have such a high Spanish speaking population in my ward. So, as a part of like really caring about my specific constituents, that has to be a big thing. That's always been a big thing. When we talk about the older folks in this state, what I have found as I'm going around I've been going to the different like the city or town Democratic committees and then speaking to those groups. And like 10 to 1 are like the majority are always like over 65 and then there'll be like one person under 50. So like I'm hearing from that group. It's basically property taxes. It's like property taxes and then Medicare for when they're going to be in nursing homes. So I think that with them, it's about the taxes, but it's also about helping them to understand how all of these other things that help other people actually does impact them. Um, this is just a joke, but kind of not. I often joke that the only way that we're going to get through to them from our generation is if we tell them that if they actually want grandkids, they better support what we're saying. Because honestly, I have had not a small number of folks in that age range come and talk to me and say, things are so bad. My daughter, my son, my whoever has told us we won't be grandparents because they are choosing not to have kids because they can't afford it. The state of the world, all of these things. Um, I am going to say that the older folks are a tougher demographic. And even though there are more of, or there is a high age, but the average age of the state, like the whole average is 45. So we do, yeah. So like if you look at the average age of New Hampshire, it's around 45, 46. Yet the average age of a state rep is 65. So I think that the problem is, and the reason that we think there's such a big voting block is not because there's necessarily, of course, I don't know the numbers, but it's not necessarily that there's more of them. It's that they have more time to be involved and they're more vocal. So, what I'm focusing on a little bit more is I am giving them the spiel. They are going to be the ones who are less likely to vote for me. And I want their support. I'm not focusing all of my energy on them the way that establishment Dems do, because what I know is there's actually huge voting blocks who are disengaged or have not or are hopeless and are not engaging. And so I am extremely focusing on the under 30 and the parents and the working people. I also have had really good success so far with the right of center people, moderates and libertarian leaning people. Can you close my door? They actually think about the Dems had it wrong all along, you guys. The people in the middle tend to be socially progressive and fiscally conservative. If you're talking about money, like I am when I say housing and healthcare and get money out of politics and make them pay their fair share, and it's about the ruling class and the working class, those kinds of things, they don't really hate trans people and immigrants enough for them to dig their heels in and not support somebody who's going to help them with all the fiscal stuff. So all of that is to say that while it is the older generation that we think about a lot, and that I am thinking of that, I am very intentionally focusing my energies in other areas that I think actually have more potential.
Thank you so much. All right, let's see if we can get Carter in here.
What do you need?
Am I working now?
Here we go.
Yeah,
Can you hear
sure.
me? Is this any better?
Yeah, I can hear
Yes.
you.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool.
Keep it plugged in.
So I guess this is sort of related to not just Marissa's topic, but literally what you just said. And it's kind of more ideological. But the question is, who's more of a thorn in your side these days? The traditionally conservative people or the liberals in the Democratic Party?
Oh, it's always been the liberals. It's always been, I've always, since I started like in 2024, I get yelled at more by Dems than by Republicans. Always.
Do you
The
find
biggest
not,
people that I'm fighting right now are establishment Dems. Like they are the one. I cannot tell you how many old white men who are liberal. I tell them I'm there and I'm passing out my cards and I'm at an event and I go, hey everybody, I'm Paige Beauchemin, I'm running for Congress. Who are you running? Where are you running? You're running against Maggie Goodlander? Yes, I am. Laugh in my face. Just laugh at me. They laugh.
oh,
They laugh at me
that's
and
sad.
then they proceed to mansplain to me all the reasons that I'm stupid for doing this. They don't let me get a word in edgewise. And when I say, Lake and Riley, gratitude to ICE, APAC, they look at me like I'm fucking stupid and say, well, you can't be a purist.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that I always have the most heated disagreements with people that are ostensibly on my side. And
Guys, they don't fucking get it, okay? Like when I was talking to people about this whole like middle finger kind of thing, and a few weeks ago when I yelled Jesus fed kids, right? So I've been they I have to be managed. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm on the like Jonah Wheeler, Ellen Reed list of like needing to be managed in their eyes. I don't know. No, yeah, we won't go
I'm
into
not the
those.
right person to bring Jonah Wheeler up to. Like, I'm really not the right guy to talk to about that goofball. And I'm
Oh,
being very, very generous in my language when I call him that.
oh no, that's what I mean is like
Yeah,
I think I've been put in the category of needing to be managed.
yeah, that's preposterous because like Jonah's a moron and you're like not. So
So, but the thing is, here's the deal. They sincerely don't think that people want us as legislators to be doing the things that I'm doing. They're like, you were elected and in this position to change policy, to make policies. And so, with this time, and Alexis just didn't believe. I'm like, no, Alexis, people like that I do this. And she's like, well, I don't really think that most people want us to be doing this. And I'm like, okay, don't take it from me then. All right. And then about this, I was like, and again, I do love Alexis Simpson. She is the minority leader. I love her as a person. She's kind, she's well-intended. She truly believes, like, she is a person who is like not rich. She's like a woman of faith. She like she's a reverend or something like that, pastor, whatever. She really is doing what she thinks is right. Um, so I'm really nice to her. But we both know that we completely disagree with each other and that neither of us is going to change the other person. But she really, I was like, well, I really want to say something because, the Dems aren't standing up and people want the Dems to stand up. And she's like, and I forgot that I was like talking to her when I said that. And she's like, well, I mean, we are standing up. We're standing up with our policy. And I was like, Alexis, people don't know. Like, I'm like, I tried to tell her, I have hundreds of people who are thanking me for doing these things. And she just doesn't believe me.
Yeah.
Okay, don't
Well,
listen.
thank you for entertaining my are they high on their own supply question, and I'll get out of here. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Carter. All right, so it looks like we have a question from the chat. It says, Paige, have you seen Worker Capitalist on TikTok? He talks about progressive strategy. I think that's what
Ooh, no. Can somebody like write? I don't know where the chat is, but can somebody write that down and send it to me?
Yeah, we got you. We'll send it to you. Absolutely. I want to check it out too. I wonder if I'm following them. Hello,
Yeah.
sir. Can I help you?
Do you want to come on and say hi too?
Okay.
This is Ruth. She
We're
just
just
took her back.
checking out. Hi.
People call her the mini me, which is not far off.
Yeah. This is my mini matrix.
He really is like definitely like
Don't hit
mini
your
you.
head. Oh my God. He almost just slammed my laptop. My gosh. Be careful. Please, please. Please, please.
Time for me to go to New York.
All right. So, Paige, thank you so much for joining us tonight. That was fantastic. All right. Matrix would like to show you one more thing, if that's okay, before we go. Is that all right?
I
All
mean,
right. You ready?
seriously, we're gonna have to go on a trip to New York. I'm like not kidding. We're gonna take NH Talk on the road.
Let's do it. Let's do a group and the NH Talk trip to New York.
Yay!
That'd be fun.
Yeah, we can
All
go
right.
we can do graffiti on AOT's trucks, billboards.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
what are we
thank you
doing here?
guys thank you so much, Melody, for having me on and giving me the opportunity. I think I just want to stress that I really do, I want to represent people. Like I'm a normal person. And so like any of these questions, I would love you all to answer. Like, what do you want me to focus on for the older folks in this state? Like, what kind of family policies do you want? So I really, really want to make sure that I'm accessible and that people feel like they can tell me what's important.
And what's the best way that people can reach you? Just on social media? Do you have an email? Do you have a
Yeah,
website?
I have all these things. So pretty much everything is Paige, Paige, FORNH. So Page for NH. So it's pagefornh.com is the website. And you can reach me at page at pagefornh.com. I will say I know that, fundraising and asking other people who are working to donate is a really hard thing, but I'm hoping that everybody has wealthy people somewhere in their network. And I really will say, like, this is the people's campaign. That's what I'm really hoping. And I do hope that people will see this a little bit as like helping the campaign for all of us, because I just see myself as like I'm the one at the microphone, but this is for all of us. And so every support, even liking my social media, but fundraising, telling people about it, sharing it, volunteering, anything is like really awesome. So thank you guys all.
And thank you so much, Paige, for spending the night with us. Thank you all so much. I got to get this little one in his pajamas and in bed now because it is way past his bedtime. But I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a great night. And we will see you next week with Heath Howard.